welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Starladder Season 8, Day 23 coverage! We've got Game 2 coming at you live here on Beyond the Summit. The QPad Red Panda is going to be facing off against OSG Gaming, OSG. I'm Zyori. With me back once again is Hippie. How you feeling here in Game 2, my friend?
Feeling good, man, and something already happened that is a little unusual, and that's that Elder Titan made it right through. Ooh. What a strong hero. I'm just like, ugh. Every time I see that guy come in, I'm like, really?
I see Elder Titan and I'm just like, really? Oh, what a strong man. That was my Southern Belle voice.
He is a wonderful man. I would take him out for a fancy dinner.
Yeah. He's pretty scary. And he was first picked here by QPad. I don't know if we got in... did the draft right at the tail end of that first picking phase. So it was a first pick Elder Titan by QPad, Alchemist and Viper snagged by OSG, and then, of course, the Crystal Maiden picked up by QPad Red Pandas. Now, important to note, stand-ins aplenty for the Red Pandas. We see Durham over there tagged up. RMN, I don't know if he's a member or just a common stand-in, but Villic and SLHZ, two names we'll recognize from previous days of coverage. And this SLHZ guy, Hippie, he's got quite the mouthful of a name, and myself and Syndra had never heard of him, but he's got the skills to pay the bills. He's a pretty solid Dota player, considering we have no idea who he is or where he came from. But he's been standing in for QPad, and he's been playing pretty well. OSG been having some roster issues of their own. You'll recognize Ink Visitor from Aspera, but it looks like they have a pretty consistent roster here. Ink Visitor, Chomi, Tron, Big Num, and Wicked Sick. Of course, Topo is Tron, in case your Russian is a little rusty there, Hippie.
My Russian has never been particularly good. I'm not going to deny that. But yeah, I remember that game where you guys were first seeing SLHZ. I remember you kind of frantically pawing around at the Steam interface like, who is this guy? And finding out we have no idea. But he was very solid. I was impressed. I was impressed as well. So I'm hoping to see more from him.
Yeah. Absolutely. Myself included. We'll see what he has in store for us here in this match. Now let's talk about this draft a little bit. Everything looking fairly straightforward. OSG banning out a lot of supports as well as that Pugna, and that will limit the final choice of QPad just a little bit here, but still plenty of options for him. They've got a pretty well-rounded roster to start things off. Dragon Knight probably going to be in the mid, off-lane Elder Titan, and looking like a tri-lane perhaps with that Luna Crystal Maiden, and whoever it is they fancy for their final support pick. Pretty well-rounded roster. Now on the side of OSG, they've got that dreaded Viper. He's the one that we sort of joked in Starladder. There was this unspoken agreement, truce if you will, that Viper will be banned, but he shall not be picked because no one likes playing against Viper. And that's actually held true for most of this round robin. We've seen him sneak through a couple of times, and this will be one such game to join the Rubik, Mirana, and Alchemist.
I mean, he can be very, very frustrating, but I mean, you can deal with him. I mean, teams definitely can. Ooh, Clockwork final pick. I always like seeing a Clockwork. I want to say QPad's going to pick an Enigma, but no. Whoa, Space Cow.
Yeah, Space Cow coming out from left field. I don't think we've seen any Spirit Breaker in the round robin here of Starladder Season 8. This is going to be a little treat.
Yeah, I was gonna go through all these reasons why I thought Enigma would be good, and then just RMN is like, nope, you don't even get to. I'm like, aw. Yep. Made me pretty sad, not going to lie.
Yeah, we've been seeing a lot of Enigma, so it wouldn't have been the craziest of choices, but the Spirit Breaker, now, how are they going to lane this? Part of the problem with all of these stand-ins is I don't really know who's who, and I got to check this Luna. I want to say that this is someone that I should recognize, but that is just all sorts. Oh, that's Blue Banana. Okay, what? That is one of the worst tags I've ever seen, but that is Blue Banana, so he is not a stand-in. He is the actual member of the team. Very curious how they're going to play this Spirit Breaker, though. Is it going to be a one position? Is it going to be roaming? How much farm are they going to allot to this Spirit Breaker? If memory serves, Hippie, we saw a little bit of Spirit Breaker in Starladder Season 7 round robin, and I remember actually seeing support Spirit Breaker. Strange as that sounds, that's what teams were doing.
In general, yeah, I think generally, unless you're running some very specific lineups, the reward for putting him in a one position really isn't great enough for the sacrifice of farm you'll take off of other carries. You can generally get a more effective pick out of other aggressive carries. You know, someone like maybe a Slark, like we saw last game running in the one position, like Loda likes to run, can be a very, very rewarding aggressive carry. But Spirit Breaker, not quite as much, and he does a decent amount without needing to get all of that farm. So I think it's far more likely to see him played in the 4 role, have him maybe get a little bit of experience alongside the Luna or alongside the CM in the jungle, and then just run around and try to set things up, because you have I mean, in the mid, you have if RMN gets a charge on someone mid, you then get the very long Dragon Knight stun. You guys are going to get a lot of auto attacks. If he has the Greater Bash and gets a lucky Greater Bash like towards his friendly tower to just kind of increase the distance the enemy mid needs to cover to get away, it can be very, very difficult to escape. And in general, that's a lot of lockdown for only 2 heroes. And then, in addition, you know, if he charges bottom, he may not have the lockdown help from Elder Titan, but if they see an opening, like, say the supports are rotating somewhere else to try to get some ganking done, and Spirit Breaker shows up bottom to gank in on either the Viper or the Mirana, I guess whichever one ends up being that one-position hero, then the Elder Titan just does so much damage, and the amount of time that RMN can kind of keep people pushed back away from the safety of their tower, the Elder Titan auto attacks buffed by the Astral Spirit buff can be very, very devastating, and of course the Natural Order aura as well, making everything just that much worse.
Yeah. Well, OSG will start off with a 5-man smoke here, so they are going to be scooting their way up the top lane, presumably into the dire jungle. They do have plenty of wards on them, so they may be looking to ward up that jungle a little bit. Still sort of curious about how OSG will lane this. They do have, looks like a support alchemist here. Will probably be that off-lane Clockwork. I want to guess Viper mid, and then a tri-lane with the Mirana, and that is one killer tri-lane there. Mirana, pardon me, Mirana, Alchemist, and Rubik. Yeah, that's a lot of damage that they can put out. But we are going to resume here. We'll see what they do with this 5-man smoke. May just be looking for a little bit of level 1 action. They've actually got a pretty solid level 1 kill team here. Plenty of disables, plenty of damage, and they got plenty of slow as well, which is pretty important in these level 1 skirmishes if they come about. So they may actually find their way into Durham or Blue Banana here.
If they reveal it on the Luna, they're not going to get anyone unless... Oh, she doesn't see him past the trees!
Oh no, Blue Banana. He's about to get peeled and thrown in the trash. Poor guy. Down he goes. Well, Big Num going to walk away with that bit of bonus gold as he did finish him off with a Sacred Arrow to the face. A great hero to pick off as well. The Luna going to get a slow start here. So I guess well done by OSG. They did throw down a very aggressive lane ward here as well up top. So they will have a lot of insight into that lane when pulling is happening, if it does, and perhaps they're going to try and capitalize. It looks like they will be doing a long lane tri-lane here. It will be Chomi in the mid on the Viper, and Tron, a.k.a. Tapo, going to be on the Clockwork in the solo safe lane.
Yeah, I mean, that was just such unfortunate positioning from the Luna. She had just moved just far enough south that she couldn't see the Rubik when he got revealed past that little patch of 3 trees. So I mean, she would have been fine with her 330 move speed if she had just if she had been a little bit north and had caught the Rubik in her line of sight. She would have been able to get away with good reactions. But man, really, really bad start. And I'm not sure they can contest this this tri lane. I mean, CM, the Spirit Breaker just... He's not really that much in a try versus try situation because he ends up so underleveled. He doesn't have room to go ganking. Arrow is going to catch RMN.
Wow. That was a pretty close call right there, and it actually did clip him. I thought it was going to miss, but they made it happen. So, yeah, all right, let's look at our dire side. Of course, we do have the QPad Red Pandas, this crazy tagged up name. That is Blue Banana, not actually a stand-in. One of their true members here playing on the Luna. RMN, one of the stand-ins, going to be on the Spirit Breaker, Space Cow. They are going to throw down a ward here. They know there's some sort of aggressive warding, but they don't know where. Not going to find it. We'll hold that introduction as there will be some initiation here. The Concoction going to go. It'll connect with the Crystal Maiden. RMN did charge in already. Crystal Maiden looking like she might be the first to fall. It's going to be a battle of whose support can last longer. It will be Ink Visitor that survives a little bit longer. Does burn a salve, but does get finished off by the Luna. Now it might not be over quite yet. Big Num as well as Wicked Sick. Going to be under heavy pressure here. There's another Concoction. Ink Visitor already back in the action. Going to telekinesis back Blue Banana. There's a Concoction to connect. And Big Num trying to get out in the front lines. Does have an arrow ready, but not going to be able to use it. Too many creeps nearby. And that's going to be a misplay from Big Num there. They will get basically a free kill on that Mirana as he steps way too far forward.
Yeah, you know, he saw his Rubik come back in. He was like, all right, I got a 3v2. And he didn't think about the fact that, oh, if Rubik is back, Crystal Maiden's probably back as well. But I mean, you saw after the Spirit Breaker, he got, I mean, the aura is actually really, really nice for them because they also have the Luna aura, so it's reasonably easy for them to keep up and put in some really good auto attack damage. But you could see, I mean, as soon as he burns that charge for a save in lane, his stun is on a 35-second cooldown, and it takes the vast majority of his mana pool to get it off in the first place, so he has some real trouble having a sustained amount of effectiveness in lane. He's going to be fine at the very start, but as the lane starts to drag on, if he doesn't get some sort of sustainability, he needs to start moving in other places and using those cooldowns kind of as you know, in a more time-effective manner. You can't just be using that stun defensively all the time and expect to come out even against this lane, because they just have more constant access to their spells than you ever will.
Yeah, and also being level 2 here, still no point in that Greater Bash. And usually we see pros grabbing the Greater Bash early, if not level 1, certainly level 2, but he is going to get it at level 3 here with a 1-1-1 opener. Just for that little bit of RNG can be the difference between a kill or a survival, and this tri-lane on tri-lane is certainly going to be where most of the action's at. But let's take a look at the other lanes here. Vilik going to be solo mid on the Dragon Knight up against the Viper. He's certainly going to have his work cut out for him here. We see Viper 18-7 versus the 8-2 Dragon Knight, continuing to get harassed back, and then of course down to the bottom, SLHZ going to be the one playing on the Elder Titan up against the solo Clockwork played by Tron. And they have a pretty even exchange going on down here. 12-3 on the Clockwork, 11-2 on the Elder Titan. Kind of about what we would expect. Neither one should be able to kill the other unless some sort of crazy misstep happens or a roam from one of the supports comes down. Up top, though, Spirit Breaker going to charge forward. Will connect with Ink Visitor. There's the Lucent Beam, and Rubik in a little bit of trouble here. They're going to be able to pursue him. He does get the Fade Bolt off before he dies. It is going to cost him their Crystal Maiden, though. It is going to be a 1-for-1. Whoa, what a lucky bash there on Big Num. He is going to be able to leap backwards, though they will leave Wicked Sick behind. Alchemist trying to make it out. Looks like he will. Oh, that Lucent Beam not going to be enough, and he'll survive with about 15 hit points to spare. They're going to pop up those stick charges. So another 1-for-1 up here. Support for support.
I'll eat my words, man. That Spirit Breaker's being far more effective than I expected him to be in that lane. I think it really is the combination of that extra chase with the Empowering Haste and the Luna Aura. It's a lot stronger than I really thought it would be, and he's getting a couple of lucky bashes, but in general, I think he's just playing very well. So kudos to RMN. I thought he wasn't going to be a hugely effective tri-lane support, and he's proven me wrong.
Yeah, experience seems pretty even up here in the try-on-try. 2 of the supports are level 2, 2 of them are level 4. And all in all, a pretty even spread. Let's check that gold graph, and actually OSG grabbing the better of the farm, and that is just all the Viper. That's the big disparity in this game. 31-9 in last hits versus the 12-2 Dragon Knight. But honestly, can't really say that I blame Vilik too much. This is a really difficult lane, especially before he hits level 6. Just so hard to farm because Viper will zone you out. As soon as you press forward, he's going to start chipping away at you. And as we see, he's got that Nether Toxin here. And, yeah, Poison Attack as well. Viper also level 6, so if this Dragon Knight's not careful, Chomi could maybe find an opening to pick up a kill, but oh yeah, he does have a haster in here, so maybe an opening, but yeah, Viper off to a great start as we would expect.
Yeah, I mean, it's just any melee against Viper, almost any hero against Viper is a tall order unless you have gang support, but melee in general, oh my god, it's just horrendous.
Yeah.
I feel terrible when I watch people play those things.
Oh, that Sacred Arrow going to be off the mark. One more auto attack, they'll have enough to finish off the Luna, but actually going to miss a point-blank arrow. RMN does come charging in. Of course, no one else there. The support not going to be inbound, and he will just turn and head back to friendly territory. Level 2 did go that second point in Bash, so still going to level Bash as the primary. I think that makes a lot of sense here. And once he hits 6, that'll help buff up that Nether Strike. Of course, it does proc a greater Bash, so the higher level it is, the better the Bash when you use that ultimate, of course, upon hitting 6. We'll see OSG pressure the creep camp here a bit. The Acid Spray comes down. Wicked Sick actually needs to be a little bit careful. Big Num now, maybe he's the one that needs to be careful. He'll get bashed. Now the charge is going to come out. He's going to try and leap down. Will make it to the low ground. A close call for that Mirana. Will make it, but not for long. Vilik going to rotate his way over. Level 6, Elder Dragon Form going to be popped, and he is going to finish him off. There's that haste rune we talked about. Wicked Sick trying to pour it out. Will be interrupted by the Lucent Beam, and he is going to fall. Now Chomi going to sort of stand his ground here against Vilik. Looks like he will be able to grab a kill on the Dragon Knight. One more attack. Oh no, not going to get it. The poison won't be enough. Bottle comes in, and Vilik going to sip it up. So very unfortunate for OSG right there. That was a 3-for-0 as Mirana took a spill also.
That was a really, really smart use of those last couple seconds of haste from Vilik. I mean, you saw he's so low, and you're thinking, you know, of course, definitely the Viper's going to pick him off before he goes down. Took himself up to the high ground, prevented the last auto attack, kept himself alive. He would have died, no doubt. With the 3 levels in Nether Toxin, he would have gotten destroyed.
Yeah.
If he had taken one more auto attack. So, you know, just good game sense, good tactical play, good positioning. And honestly, you know, when I've had my very occasional conversations with some very, very skilled players, positioning is generally what they say is one of the biggest things in all of Dota. I mean, good positioning and bad positioning can decide a match all on its own, because if you're pretty much perfect in all your execution, and you just have one team that's out of position a couple of times, they're going to be the ones who get picked off. They're going to be the ones who start to lose any advantage they might have been building up.
And down to the bottom lane here, SLHZ in big trouble. Tron level 7 does have 3 points in that battery assault. Going to get the 4th one now after grabbing that kill, but basically a solo kill for the Clockwork there as he just walked up to the Elder Titan from behind. Of course, Inquisitor was inbound for any necessary follow-up damage, but that was pretty much all Clockwork. And, well, going to grab himself a kill. Nicely played.
Show me get charged in mid.
Yep, and he may be in a little bit of trouble here. Where's that Spirit Breaker? Oh, there he is, charging from the well. They're going to try and converge.
Alchemist.
Durham going to be here as well. Chomi in a pretty solid position. He will move to his side of the trees. There's the Acid Spray. Villic going to go ahead and burn the Dragon form straight away. Nice and stable concoction from Wicked Sick. And now they are going to turn this around. Moonlight Shadow even comes out. That's a dead Dragon Knight. Well played by OSG. I think they were suspicious. They kind of set the trap and put Chomi in the front lines. And they did a good job baiting it. Chomi really stayed in a normal position until the very end. That last second, he just moved over to this side, made it difficult for anyone else on QPandas, aside from the Spirit Breaker, to initiate on him. And as you said, Alchemist right there, ready to follow up, and he did just that.
Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with you. I think they had to have sniffed it out. They figured out, okay, the Spirit Breaker isn't showing. He's probably putting pressure on our hero who's dominating everyone right now, which is that Viper. Let's lay a trap. And that's, you know, one of the disadvantages of Spirit Breaker, especially with good warding. It's very, very easy to set traps for him that he just, you know, doesn't expect. And so it's a very risky thing to do a cross-map charge because you have no idea where the wards are. You have no idea maybe just how their game sense is shaping up when you don't have vision of everyone. And even when you do, TPs could come at any time if you charge too close to a tower, especially right there, you know. Even if the Alchemist wasn't there, it's reasonably likely the Rubik could have TP'd in, the Clockwork could have TP'd in, someone could have been there and shut that down anyway.
And they're going to do it again up here. They're going to charge on Big Num. Alchemist nearby, charging up that concoction. Very long-range stun. The Sacred Arrow to follow up. Will they have enough to finish off RMN? And no, Wicked Six seemed to think so. But Big Num knew better. Did not walk into that Eclipse. Blue Banana was ready and waiting. And yeah, that is going to be a kill on the Alchemist. A nice stun rotation, but unfortunately that Spirit Breaker just a little bit too tanky now that he does have those power treads. And of course, being a strength hero, he's got a pretty sizable health pool.
Yeah, and obviously not the easiest guy to bring down, as you're mentioning. I mean, maybe you'd think they would have wanted to try and catch the Luna. She was a little bit far up, but at the same time, they had to know. The big mistake there was no creeps, and, you know, people started to go in anyway. At this early stage of the game, that Eclipse is just too much damage. You can't be committing on Luna without a creep wave, period.
Yeah. Yep, exactly right. Viper, though, still doing very well, leading the way on the net worth chart, as we would expect. Also, the last hit leader by a huge margin here, 59 and 20. He did pick up an early mech, Brown Boots, straight into Mechanism, and I like that choice. A pretty classic opener on Viper. He needs something to give him that survivability, and not only does he have that first core item, but also they have a nice and early mech on OSG. Looks like Elder Titan working on his, but still a little ways off with just the headdress, and does have the buckler recipe, and, well, actually he's going to have it pretty soon, just off that recipe, as well as the chainmail, which he's going to have in about 20 gold here. So things still looking good for OSG. Gold graph pretty even. Experience graph even more even. So both sides are pretty comparable at the moment. Luna's starting to soak up the farm up top, though still just about on point with Mirana. Only a little bit ahead compliments of that last kill she was able to snag on the overcommitting Alchemist.
I mean, you have to expect, though, that the longer this game drags on, the better it's got to be for QPad. Between the Luna aura, the Luna herself with the glaives just being a very terrifying carry, and the fact that Dragon Knight can turn into a pretty, you know, serious physical damage dealer in his own right once he gets some good damage going, once you get that ranged splashing Scotty, which is, you know, pretty ridiculous just to think about in the first place. It can be really, really dangerous for OSG to try to do anything. So I think they need to put on a little more pressure. They need to be more aggressive, but Inquisitor and Chomi might be in trouble.
Moonlight Shadow comes out. Sentry Ward comes down right away. That'll be the end of Inquisitor. Chomi not going to be so lucky. Now Tron going to come in, and he might be able to survive this. They're going to try and turn it around perhaps. They will finish off RMN, but right now it's a 3-for-1. Hold that thought, and it's a 4-for-1. Great use of that Sentry right there. I think OSG felt a little bit more safe thanks to that Moonlight Shadow, and really going to cost them. Great convergence by QPad. That was one of those 5v2, then a 5v1, then a 5v1, and OSG just kind of ran in, not really like a team unit, and that did cost them. QPandas going to pull into the lead here for, well, not quite the first time, but the first significant lead they've been able to grab this match, and some valuable recovery on that Dragon Knight as well, who's slowly creeping his way up on that net worth chart.
They were very conservative with their stuns in that last engagement too, which was nice. They probably wouldn't have gotten the Alchemist if the Dragon Knight had like wasted his a little bit earlier, but he knew he had that little bit of disable coming out from the Spirit Breaker. He knew that they could probably bring people down without him having to burn the Dragon Tail early, so they were able to pick up those extra kills just because they weren't careless. And I mean, these are professional teams. They know about how much stun they have to use, but you'll still see people like, oh crap, I gotta make sure this guy stays stun locked. Oh crap, you know, they burn a couple of extra stuns maybe that they didn't need to, and just discipline to not do that can be very, very big. And in that case, it was big enough to get him an Alchemist.
Uh-oh, Spirit Breaker, what are you doing, big guy? That's going to cost you. A very odd position for the Spirit Breaker. Maybe just underestimating the range on that telekinesis. Oh, Earth Splitter comes. They want to finish off the Clockwork. He did use that defensive hook shot to survive the engagement down bottom. But so far, a 1-for-0 here in the mid lane as Spirit Breaker still sitting in the grave. OSG looking like they may want to pressure this tier 1 tower, especially now that Earth Splitter's down. They could feel a little bit more safe. Another haste ring going to be on the Dragon Knight, but no, they are just going to back up and continue farming away. So I did, since we're going to have a break in the action here, you know, the more you know, right, Hippie? That damn Mirana arrow. So if you're standing at point blank and you hit him in the face, the arrow still cruises right through him, even though the stun connects for half a second. Were you aware of this?
You mean just the image or what?
Yeah, like the arrow itself, like the image of the arrow. If you're doing a point blank, the animation bugs out and the arrow flies straight through him. And it's sort of looks like it doesn't stun because it's point blank, so it's like, what's the minimum stun? It's 0.5. Yeah, so it's a 0.5 second stun. So up top, when I was like, oh wow, Big Num missing that arrow, how did that miss? It actually didn't miss. It connected, he got the 0.5 second stun, but the graphic flies on by. So of course, that is a very common bug. All 11,000 people in Twitch chat knew it, and Basekip just confirmed it for me. So in case you didn't know that, just future reference, point-blank sacred arrows tend to be a little buggy with that graphic, and I'm pretty sure I've screwed that up in the past. So my apologies, folks. It's sticking it in the vault, and I'll try to remember that next time I see Mirana with a point-blank arrow that looks like it was off the mark. So my apologies, Big Num. You were on point. I did not mean to flame you. Well done, buddy. Well done.
You're just one of those noob casters that flames everybody, aren't you?
No,
God,
I'm such a flamer.
You're such a jerk, man. I mean, these guys are so much better than you.
That's true. It is true. Big Num here. He was going to get charged, but they back up in time, and he will be just fine. So, overall impressions, Hippie. This Spirit Breaker, has he had the impact he's needed so far? Sitting level 7 in terms of supports, he's right on point. Actually, all the supports in this match are level 7, so it is still pretty even across the board. But are you pretty satisfied with this Spirit Breaker support thus far?
I mean, QPad is doing pretty well. I think Spirit Breaker has had a decent impact. He's not like overpowering, but I think he's strong enough to be where he needs to. He's gonna go in on this Clockwork right now. They are gonna use the Native Strike. He's got the support coming in from the Crystal Maiden. They do have the Sentry Ward to deal with that Moonlight Shadow. Nice freeze coming out, but Viper coming in. The freezing field not quite gonna be enough to finish anyone off, and kill for Mirana. Big Num getting in just in time. Chomi might go down. No, he's gonna get out. Even after that
mech
stomp.
from Chomi.
Wow.
Yeah. Tron owes his life to Chomi right now, at least until he goes to the well again. That mech keeping him alive. Great support from OSG. And, yeah, that's some much-needed kills right there. Going to punish that overcommit from the Spirit Breaker. Certainly would have been a kill. Just a free kill on that Clockwork had they not come in time. So, and with that, Clockwork's going to survive, and he's going to be able to right-click his first core item here. It will be that Blade Mail following the brown boots.
It looks like Wicked Sick is the next target for the Spirit Breaker. They're trying to use the Spirit Breaker to his maximum efficiency, but I just think he's getting spotted and baited a little too much. There, they see the charge coming in. Here comes the TP from Clockwork.
Yep, Clockwork's ready.
So much trouble if he does this.
Does have a hook shot ready. They're going to cancel the charge. And Wicked Sick going to charge up the stun. He will stun himself here, unfortunately. But not to worry, he will be safe. Nothing too scary coming his way. I think the smart choice to back off with that engage there definitely would have been a bad one.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is you just... I said it earlier, you know, you have to be really careful when you're charging solos, even if, you know, they look like they're alone, they can be close to the tower, you might have to back off, and anytime you waste a charge, I mean, it's... You can miss a couple of charges. I'm not saying every single charge has to connect, but if you're repeatedly having to cancel charges, or you're getting baited with charges, that's the danger, I mean, that you commit to when you pick a Spirit Breaker, is he's pretty all in, and if he doesn't have some sort of you know, if you can't kind of catch the other team off guard, if you can't get really good ganks going, what's he gonna do? So far he's been okay, like I started to mention, but he hasn't been like huge, and Inquisitor might be in trouble.
Yeah, speak of the devil, Inquisitor in big trouble here. He will get the telekinesis off, gonna take a Lucent Beam to the face. There's the Eclipse gonna be burned, but Tron does have that Blade Mail on, and that will return a good bit of damage. Luna's streak gonna be ended by the Clockwork there. It will be a 2-for-1 in favor of the QPad Red Pandas. But at least they get that valuable kill on the Luna, who is starting to get maybe a little bit out of control. Her farm still topping the net worth chart, but well played by Tron right there. He saw the Eclipse coming, popped that Blade Mail, and, well, he was able to turn it around and secure the kill. Nicely played.
And, Blade Mail, pretty darn good item against someone who can't really control where her damage is going, like Luna. I mean, even if you pop the Blade Mail in a fight against a Luna, kind of in the late game when her glaives will start taking her apart, her Eclipse starts taking her apart, and just, anyone else could say, okay, I'm going to focus someone else and just kill them until your Blade Mail runs out. Not so. You just absolutely can't choose where any of this stuff is going. And, on the one hand, it's not that great for you because, it might hit a target you don't want. As opposed to the person you're trying to kill. But on the other hand, it might be hitting someone you're trying to avoid, like that Clockwork with the Blade Mail. And Luna, not amazingly tanky right now, only 1,000 hit points.
Yep, exactly right, though she is going to be a little tankier once that BKB comes out. Does have the Ogre Club and Mithril Hammer. Of course, just waiting on that recipe. RMN going to be in a little bit of trouble here, perhaps. OSG looking like they want to close the gap. Nope, not going to come up the river, and he'll be just fine. Thought they were going to converge on him there, but Chomi and Ink Visitor did go back to friendly territory and stayed on their side of the river. So, glancing at the graph, still a pretty even game on our hands. The QPandas do have a small experience edge, but all in all, still very even. Anyone's game for the taking. In the late game, though, who has the carry advantage? Who's benefiting more from this pretty static, even game, at least here as we move into the mid-game? And it's actually a fairly even bout of carrying. I mean, you got Dragon Knight and Luna on the one side, and then you've got the Mirana as well as the Viper on the other.
I disagree that Viper Mirana can stand up to Luna Dragon Knight.
You don't think
they'll
so?
I think they'll get crushed starting in 45-50 minutes. Absolutely. Luna is pretty devastating compared to either of those heroes.
Yes, once you get to that mark, but that's
if the game drags on and it really becomes carry wars, it's all in favor of QPanda. And don't forget the Elder Titan either. That base armor reduction is massive. Especially against dual agility carries. Yeah, definitely.
I guess that's very true. When you're looking at really late game, like 45 minutes plus, I think you're absolutely right. But in this mid-game and latter portion of the mid-game, I think Viper and Mirana are going to have a bit of an edge. And some of it depends on this Mirana's farm. Right now, she's going still toe-to-toe with Luna in terms of farm. So Mirana's holding in there. And as long as she keeps that farm going, though, maybe you're not the right person to ask. I know how much you hate the hard carry Mirana. It's an age-old debate that we used to have on Dota Radio. So, maybe this will be one where we have to agree to disagree.
Well, there's a difference between hard carry Mirana and aggressive carry Mirana. Like, a real farming Mirana I don't love, but an aggressive carry Mirana I'm okay with.
Okay, fair enough. I see where you're coming from, my friend. So, yeah, I think OSG are okay. Ooh, hookshot going to be off the mark here in the mid lane. Villic would have been in some trouble, but unfortunately not going to connect. Unfortunately for OSG at least, though, they may still find an opening here. There's the ultimate from Viper, and they are going to go in on the Dragon Knight. Telekinesis is going to come. He does burn the Elder Dragon form. Earth Splitter comes out, and now Chomi in big trouble. He's taking tower shots as well. Mech going to be used. He'll be able to finish off the Dragon Knight before he falls himself. Does have a double damage rune on, but alas, Viper does fall in the end. Now we're going to see RMN. He's going to overcommit a little bit. It's looking like a convincing fight for OSG. Are they going to be able to grab this Elder Titan as well? They do. Luna going to be... Luna going to be the lone defender here. And she will survive. But wow, that Viper in the front lines, he is pretty tanky and hard to bring down. He's got that point booster. And even though they did sacrifice their carry Viper right now, a very convincing team fight. And they'll grab a tier 1 tower kill to follow it up.
Yeah, I think the 1-for-4 was probably worth it, and just that double damage is what really did it, because they were focusing so hard on bringing down that Viper, and the fact that he was able to bring down the Dragon Knight with that DD before he was able to have any sort of impact on the rest of the fight, I think was very, very significant. Because I think QPad wanted that fight to happen. You saw the Elder Titan was right there. I mean, either Villic made just a really, really terrible positioning mistake, or he was baiting and trying to get the ultimate to get burned on him, because he was already out clear. He knew they were trying to aggress on him. He knew that he had no way to get away from a Viper, because he has no BKB, and even if he had a BKB, he would get Viper ulted. And there's, Inquisitor going to go down real quick? Yes, he is. Going to get very quickly picked off by the combination of RMN and Durham. But just, he had to know that was coming, and so with the Elder Titan right there ready to throw the Earth Splitter, I think that was actually a bait, but they didn't count on how fast that Dragon Knight was going to fall to that double damage.
And Luna didn't get an opportunity to use the ult either. Which was...
Yeah, I think because she just got there so late because everything went a little faster than they were expecting it to. I think they were expecting Dragon Knight to tank up for a lot longer.
Yep, I think that's exactly what happened. So, looking at some item progression here, Viper slowly but surely working towards that Ag Scepter, the next core item we usually see after the mech. Does have the point booster and the Ogre Club, and just going to be about 1,000 off grabbing that last piece, as he does have about 1,000 in the bank. We'll have a pause here, so a good time to continue looking at items. Looks like Clockwork working towards his BKB as well, sitting on an Ogre Club. Mirana, does there something on the courier for Mirana? She should have more farm than that. Yep, there's an ultimate orb coming out for Big Num, so no doubt going to be grabbing the Manta style before too long here. And Dragonite, of course, working on his BKB with that Ogre Club. Luna already with hers in tow.
And that's the thing is, though, with those double BKBs, sure, they're going to be really good, and they're going to force Viper to only be able to control one of them. But one of those people being slowed by Viper in the early game, and once Viper gets his Aghanims done, probably being able to just keep both of them slowed for a reasonable amount of time. Of course, you'll have to wait 12 seconds for one of them, but you can always be kiting whoever is the biggest threat, basically. That's pretty huge. They're going to have to bring the Viper down very quickly in a lot of these fights to make sure that Luna, because with her small attack range, she's practically a melee. Wow. Practically a melee hero with that 330 range. And against that Mirana, the Mirana kiting can be very, very effective, and the Viper kiting as well. He's got the 575. And the Dragonite, of course, in Elder Dragon form, he's going to be a little better off. But until he has that, wow, he didn't take level 2 Elder Dragon form. He chose level 2 Dragon Tail over that. That's, interesting, is how I would term that. I don't think it's a good decision, but he obviously, we're in the version where Dragonite does have a level 2 ultimate,
Yeah. Well, we are going to see a kill on the Crystal Maiden. Poor Durham really getting picked on here. Tron keeps lining it up. Earth Splitter going to come and going to be completely off the mark here. Maybe going to slow down this push just a little bit. Mech gets popped, Glyph gets burned, but this bottom tier 1 is going to fall. Arrow going to fly, and oh man, almost going to connect with that Elder Titan, though he was pretty far back. Not so sure the follow-up would have been there. They do defend that top tier 1 tower, and it looks like they will rotate into the mid to try and fend it off. Villic in that level 1 Elder Dragon form will be able to fly away, and RMN going to be able to make it back as well. That will be a tower deny for OSG in the mid, so total tower count is 2-1 right now. But that one was denied, so a gold lead should be going the way of OSG. Indeed it is now, upwards of about 4,000 gold or so. Experience graph still feeling the way of the red pad Q. Did I say red pad? QPad red pandas. I'm really
we're both tripping over things today. No big deal. No big deal. It happens, my friend.
Last day before Christmas. I'm too excited about opening presents and drinking cocoa.
Hey man, you should be excited for these 7 freaking games we have today. I'm pumped up.
I'm excited. Really excited.
To quote someone who was talking about a game I casted once, you don't sound excited. Not the best game I ever casted. Let's leave it at that.
So, looks like OSG going to continue putting on the pressure, though, and I like this kind of mid-game stride they're starting to hit here, and this is exactly when they're going to start to shine. Viper now has that Ag Scepter. Of course, they've had that mech for quite a while. Mirana now going to have a Manta style, and Alchemist, well, he's going to be working towards that AC, but does have a Hyperstone. They have those core items, and they can really start knocking down these towers, and I think this is when they want to try and start taking these team fights, put some pressure on that Luna, and not give her absolute free farm. Looks like Luna is probably going to be working towards a Linken's. Does have an ultimate orb, but we'll see where she wants to go with it. There is going to be a hold up at this top tier 1 though, and Moonlight Shadow to start it off. RMN gonna go straight into the mix. Mech gets popped. Luna gonna go in as well. Does burn the ultimate, but there's plenty of creeps around. Not gonna be the best fight for QPandas. 2-0 to start things off. Elder Titan going to be in the mix here. He did burn the Earth Splitter already. Luna's BKB is off. Now needs to be a little bit careful. Chomi taking a lot of damage, but will be able to survive for now. Down goes the Luna. And now Villic going to be in big trouble. He's stuck in the cogs. He'll stand his ground for now, but the Elder Dragon not going to be able to make it happen. Big Num with a triple kill, and they might be able to make this a clean sweep as SLHZ heading for the hills. Negative earn on the rocket. Will it be enough? Oh, man, is he low. Big Num, he wants it.
Arrow.
He's hungry for blood. He's got the Sacred Arrow. Where are the jukes? Where are the jukes? One more. That's going to be it. Big Num going to do it. It will be a 5-0 clean sweep. OSG not conceding a single death. Big Num will get charged, but he's going to pour it out. Of course, they get the tower to follow up. What a convincing team fight. And I'm going to go ahead and ask it, Hippie. What the hell happened?
Well, Luna's beams didn't really hit who they needed to, for one thing. And for another, she doesn't really swing all that hard. I mean, 149, when you're taking into account the level 4 Lunar Blessing, she hasn't built a whole lot of damage, whereas the Mirana really has. You know, she's got that Manta style, so she's got the, did she, like, literally just pick that up? I feel like she just had a Yasha during that fight. So, so she's got the extra attack speed, she's got the
I'm sorry,
drum.
Did you say the Mirana? She had it before the fight. I'm sorry.
She had it before the fight? Okay,
yes,
well, then, yeah, I mean, even more. And then I don't like the the Ultimate Orb before Yasha pickup. Ultimate Orb is really, really inefficient in terms of the amount of gold it costs compared to a whole lot of other items for the stats. I get that Blue Banana might feel like he needs to be a little tankier, but I think their problem in that fight was the other team is just too tanky, and they don't have the damage to bring anyone down. I mean, between Clockwork, you have a very tanky Viper who's now finished his Aghanim, so he's incredibly hard to bring down. Alchemist is naturally tough to bring down. I mean, even the Mirana's got 1400 life. The Rubik is the only easy target, and Inquisitor is positioning himself very nicely. He's staying near the back, using his spell steal from good range. There's just no one they really feel comfortable bringing down, and that's a serious problem.
And they seem to be a little bit off the mark with that coordination in terms of the Spirit Breaker hopping in. He sort of charged in, and when he got there, it seemed like the rest of the QPandas weren't ready. You know, he sort of went in and went, oh crap, now I'm in a 5v1. And he basically got dropped, and then the rest of QPad followed up. And if you want to have that Spirit Breaker initiate, you need to be a little more on
big
point
stomp
with that synergy. Yeah, I know how you like those big stomps. No follow-up going to come, but he did put 4 to sleep. Very impressive. Sorry, I keep firing shots at you, Hippie. I can't help it. We don't cast together enough, so I feel the need to compensate for all that.
You have to get all of your snark out in one sitting. It's all right. It's all good. I'll take shots at you sometime.
All right,
at the moment,
fair enough.
I will concede.
Dude,
no, if they had had 5 there, that stomp would have been huge because he could have landed a 3-man Earth Splitter and they could have just devastated them. But no one was in position to follow up. It was very unfortunate. So, you know, great individual plays from SLHC, but he feels like he's landing the individual stuff he needs to. But in general, he's just not really coordinated with the team. And I think you hit the nail on the head when you said they don't feel like they're playing in sync. Because there's, you know, been those problems with RMN all game, as you mentioned. He kind of feels like he's just a little bit too far forward with a lot of his charges. You know, Vilik making some questionable positioning decisions, and SLHC just not really timing his Earth Splitters very well, I feel.
Yeah. And that's hard when you have 3 stand-ins. That's one of the things that,
absolutely.
I've gone back to with both Merlini and Syndrome. When you see these matches where it's a full roster versus 3 stand-ins, you have to go into it sort of expecting the 3 stand-in team to be a little bit less coordinated, maybe in a state of more significant disarray, because you're just playing with people you're not used to playing with. Some folks may be more aggressive than you're ready for, or vice versa. And it is pretty unfortunate for sure. I do feel for the teams that have been having roster issues, because it has to be frustrating playing with constant stand-ins. But on that note, OSG really starting to pull ahead here. About 10,000 gold lead now all of a sudden. Decent experience lead. AC now out on the Alchemist. Looks like he's working towards a Vlad's. I love this aura-based build on the support Alchemist. It's something that I think will work for them. Mirana definitely going as hard carry as Mirana can. Now Manta straight into a Desolator. She's got both Mithril Hammers. And now Viper, maybe going for a Manta of his own, does have himself a Yasha.
And that aura-based build you're talking about, all those armor auras are really, really big against Elder Titan, because obviously, without some sort of bonus armor, that Elder Titan is going to cause Luna and Dragonite to just cut through you so hard. But with the Alchemist giving off, it's going to be, you know, a total of what? 10 armor?
Yeah.
10 armor between the AC and the Vlads. And that's, you know, 10 armor that people just wouldn't have otherwise, especially under farm tiers like Rubik. Rubik would be at 0 armor, and instead being at 10, that's huge.
Yeah.
Viper, you know, would be at 0, would be at 5. He just doesn't have a whole ton of bonus armor going on.
That's why
so
he's
it's
a great
incredibly valuable. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
But just, I really, really have to go back to questioning why Vilik held that Elder Dragon form level 2 until he had maxed Dragon Tail. I think especially when you have something to pull people together, like a Darkseer Vacuum or like an Earth Splitter, having that splash damage in team fights is so much bigger than having an extra quarter of a second on each level of your Dragon Tail.
Yeah, I'm inclined to agree. I would be curious to PM him and ask about the thought process. At first, it's like, oh, maybe that was just a misstep. Sometimes you just get hasty with those points, but he leveled it up completely. Yeah, Deso on Mirana. BKB was delivered now for the Clockwork, and then also the Vlad's is complete for the Alchemist, and the Yasha now the way of the Viper. So this is sort of a great, not sort of, it is a great push from OSG. They took the Tier 2, chipping away at the Tier 3, and QPad didn't really get a lot out of it. They destroyed that bottom Tier 1 tower, but I think OSG will be happy to sacrifice that bottom Tier 1 for that top Tier 2 and also half damage on the Tier 3. That's really what made that push so powerful, as well as forcing the Glyph. Now, there will be a charge onto the Alchemist. He is going to charge up the Concoction, so he knows something is coming, and he is going to try to throw it on the Spirit Breaker. Going to connect. Well played. There's that level 4 Dragon Tail we've been talking about. And, wow, Earth Splitter going to be used for the solo Alchemist. They do grab the kill. I guess Earth Splitter not the longest cooldown, but if OSG wanted to try and push after the Alchemist gets up, Earth Splitter will still be down, and that could prove to be a little bit rough for QPandas, though. Not going to complain too much about getting a free kill.
Yeah, it could be. And something I want to point out is look at how deep the warding is for OSG. You have this one up on the kind of deep cliff in the QPad jungle. You have, initiation from Clockwork.
Now, SLHZ going to be in big trouble. Out comes the Blade Mail. No way you're getting out of that one. Stuck inside the cogs. Short-range charge in from RMN, and that's exactly what we've been talking about. Viper Strike is obviously going to be off cooldown, and he's just going to get melted. Crystal Maiden going to follow suit, and what started is just this one little hook shot, which should have been on a free kill on the Elder Titan, is going to turn into a 3-for-0 exchange, and actually a buyback from the Elder Titan. I don't want to be too hard on the QPad Red Pandas, but the buyback from SLHZ here, I just can't understand, because he doesn't have Earth Splitter. If he had the ultimate, maybe I could see it, but what's he going to do here? Great, you threw your Spirit. Worth the buyback? I say nay.
No, I agree with you completely. I think he could use items more than he needs to get that buyback done. And now, of course, he has to worry about, since he bought back pretty early in that death cycle, the next time he gets picked off, it's for a long time. And that's a serious concern. But I just want to go back very quickly to the wards. You can see, one over there by the Dire Ancients. You can see that one very, very deep in the Dire Jungle. And what these mean are, not only is OSG really able to kind of see everything that's happening when they want to push, but they are never, ever, ever going to be surprised by that Spirit Breaker. He's always going to get spotted. He can always be baited. And like I said, very early in the game, really good warding neuters that Spirit Breaker something fierce. And while he may have been doing okay in the early game, now he's 5, 6, and 4. He's certainly been kind of an sort of pick. He's gotten a couple of lucky bashes, a couple of good charges, but overall, RMN not having the efficiency that you want on your support.
Yeah, I definitely agree on that front. And Viper now going to be closer to grabbing his Manta. Does have that ultimate orb in the bank. Rubik did pick himself up a Blink Dagger, and now Mirana actually going to have a Crystallis. So Big Num really is going that hard carry build on Mirana. Doesn't get much more damage intensive than this. In terms of a Desolator now into Crit Stick, is Roche going to fall very quickly. See Mirana critting Roche for about 450. That's pretty scary for the 33-minute mark. And this should be a free Roche. QPandas with the right idea, though. They do take out that top Tier 1 tower. No glyph available, but OSG will port in and save this Tier 2 fresh off that successful Roshan. The Aegis did go the way of Mirana, and I think that makes a lot of sense, of course. How is Luna's farm? Because she is just about even with Mirana right now. She's got about 3,000.
She's top of the net worth, man.
Yeah, she's got 3,000. But just look at the inventories. Like, where is it all going? It's because she's holding on to so much of it. And
she wants a butterfly, and I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I think that makes sense, especially since Mirana has already went for the Crit Stick first over the MKB. I think that could prove to be a misplay. If Mirana had already started working towards the MKB, then that will give her a little bit of an edge once that butterfly comes out. But, Crystal Maiden. Ouch, that's a beyond godlike streak for the Mirana, who Big Num, I don't know if you've turned on that KDA chart, but 13, 2, and 5. This is one hell of a Mirana game here for Big Num.
Yeah, I mean, after, a couple of early deaths in the laning phase, and that was just because the tri-lane was trading back and forth so much. It's not like he got picked off. He just got caught in a lot of really, really intense, tight engagements. And ever since then, he has been on point, man. And, while the Luna may be out-farming him very, very slightly, which, of course, it's kind of natural that Luna's going to do that. She has the glaives. She farms a lot faster than a whole lot of ranged carries. The fact that Mirana's only losing by 600 gold to a Luna is pretty huge.
Yeah, and there's actually no glyph up here for the QPandas, so this tower is definitely going to fall. Dragon Tail going to be used on the Mirana, but Villic going to take a lot of return damage here. In comes Luna with the BKB Eclipse. The Earth Splitter going to fly as well. Damage and BKBs coming out on both sides. Rubik is going to be the first to fall. There's the freezing field, and the Aegis going to get popped. Mirana going to come back into the fray. Wicked Sick maybe in a little bit of trouble here. OSG maybe overcommitting, as they are not getting the better of this exchange. The Moonlight Shadow comes. Mirana going to Starstorm as she leaps out, and it's going to end up being a 2-for-2, though they did burn the Aegis, so kind of a 2-for-3. Mirana looking to reinitiate, does chuck an arrow. Not going to connect, and OSG going to be forced back. They did, however, kill that Tier 3 tower, so I would call that kind of a watch. Aegis for Tier 3 tower, then a 2-for-2. Not bad on both sides. A good hold, but also a fair bit of aggression for OSG.
What else? I mean, if you're trading even on your high ground, you're way behind.
Yeah,
you have such an advantage having that just extra superior positioning, being able to be uphill, especially because the Mirana was downhill for most of that. Her damage was pretty heavily neutered, and I was wrong.
Wow.
Luna is not going to go for that butterfly. She's going to go for just absolute I will not die with a Satanic, and it's possible that that'll pay off for her, because she's putting out a reasonable amount of damage with the Manta style. She actually, she was really very, very effective in terms of bringing down the Viper in that last fight when OSG maybe overextended just a tiny bit and gave up that pair of kills. So maybe if she can just live forever with that Satanic, get basically that second life bar, she could have enough of an impact on these fights to drag the game out. And I'm telling you, man, I think if you drag the game out for another 10 minutes or so, although maybe not because the Alchemist is getting pretty farmed, and oh, missed hook shot.
Uh-oh. But might still be enough for a kill here. Luna going to be in big trouble. BKB going to get popped. She will port out. I think she's going to be able to make it. Support coming in. Actually going to cancel the port, but doesn't have an ultimate here. Rubik going to fall to the Wrath of the Spirit Breaker to get this fight started. Earth Splitter going to come. Not going to do too much damage here. Tron trying to corner Luna, and I think he's going to do just that. Is he going to be able to survive to tell the tale? Yes, he will. And OSG going to find some success in this fight. They commit a lot to get the Luna. It is going to cost them basically all of their supports. Mirana and Viper, the only two that survive. And Chomi, was he even in that fight? I don't think he was there in time. He still has the mech off cooldown. So that was really a 4v5 for OSG. So I guess considering that, trading a 3 for 2 isn't too bad. If the Viper had been there, that would have been a very convincing fight for OSG, in my humble opinion.
I think so. Yeah, I mean, the Luna went down anyway, although you could see how long it really did take for her to go down because of that Satanic. You saw she canceled as soon as our men went in. But honestly, even though QPad did better, I still think that was kind of an iffy fight to take in the first place. I think Luna was going to get out clean. You didn't need to initiate right there. And without the Viper there, I mean,
she would have made it out for sure.
I wish I had been paying attention to whether or not they could see the Viper right there on the map, because if they had no map vision of the Viper, that wasn't a good engage, and they got lucky he wasn't there. Yeah. If they did have vision of him, then that was, they considered that in their estimations, but it really could have gone either way. Yeah, if they didn't have vision.
I was tunnel visioning on the fight. I wasn't really looking at where Viper was.
Those things sometimes.
I tend to do that. I've got too much to focus on. Doing camera in team fights is hard. I spend way too much time making sure I capture more of the action than I do with my map awareness. It's those big bursts of action. It's just like
that's why you keep me around.
Yeah, that's why I keep the co-casters around so that I can focus on camera and let play-by-play just flow. So, right back where we were here, OSG going to continue to put the pressure on. Looks like they do want to try to knock down this lane of racks, and I think that's the right idea, though they need to be a little bit careful, as Shiva is going to be coming out for Clockwork eventually here. Does have the recipe as well as the armor piece, just going to need that Mystic Staff, and he's actually pretty close, about 2.1k in the bank. Mirana going to grab that Daedalus, and I still think the Butterfly would have gone a little bit better than the Satanic here, just because there is not an MKB out quite yet, but Satanic's still a very good item. Is helping to keep the Luna alive, and maybe just personal preference a little bit here. They are going to burn the Moonlight Shadow to start things off, as there's no detection from the tower. Mirana going to go straight in
for DK.
and just going crazy for the range barracks, but you're exactly right about that. They're going to charge in. Well, where's this fight going to take place? It's going to be on the low ground. Oh, a nice Echo Stomp, but Mirana just going to be able to tear into the Spirit Breaker. He is going to buy back. Earth Splitter going to do a fair bit of damage here, though Crystal Maiden will get picked off in the base. This fight sort of in an awkward position, but Viper will get isolated. He's going to go down. Tron going to fall. There's the Earth Splitter. Did Rubik steal it? Oh, he sure did. That's the second Earth Splitter. Arrow going to come in. Will connect with Durham, but QPandas with a nice hold right here. Wicked Sick. He wants to go back in. A huge concoction going to connect. And look at this. YOLO! And you only live once, and hopefully, luckily in Dota, you do come back, because that was definitely a YOLO move. I don't know why that was so funny, but he really did YOLO there. A great hold from the QPandas, though. Of course, there was a buyback from the Spirit Breaker, but still a 2 for 4. Very nicely done. That buyback's certainly worth it.
Absolutely. I mean,
CM did buyback too. Pardon me. It was a double buyback.
Okay, so 3 for 4. So
3 for 4.
I mean, still very, very close, and the double buyback, of course, going to cost them a lot of the advantage they picked up. But the Luna's alive. They're going to get this tower very, very easily with the damage she puts out with that aura, especially now that the backdoor protection is gone, and this might start to turn around. I said it earlier, the Luna is just more effective in terms of, putting out her damage from her items. The Glaives, of course, rip through supports when you're focusing on the carries. The Eclipse is reasonably strong, and once she's got, just enough damage to tear people apart, this could start to turn for OSG. This is not over. Even though they've got this big advantage, it's just not done. And the Dragon Knight, you saw that splash from the level 3 Elder Dragon form, was so huge, especially with, again, a really good Echo Stomp, and this time followed up by a reasonably strong Earth Splitter, catching 3 heroes, getting them all in line for that Dragon Knight to slow. And you could just see, as soon as OSG got hit by that, that's when they turned around and left. They said, oh crap, this isn't going to go well, we need to back off right now.
Well,
and they still lost a couple of heroes in the chase because of that Dragon Knight slow.
Yeah, earlier in the match we were talking about who really has that carry advantage, and it's all about the timing windows. We said about 45 minutes is that make it or break it, where QPandas will start to pick up a bit of momentum. Here at the 40-minute mark, we're starting to see it. The graph telling that story very clearly. A huge arc, and now we're starting to see that decline of the lead from OSG.
Back to 0 XP.
Yeah,
wow.
That is very telling of how the QPandas are getting back into this game. And Luna should have a pretty good bit in the bank. Indeed, she does. 3.8k. So if she wants that butterfly next, she'll have it before too long here. And I think that would be very, very scary. Mirana will need to grab an MKB. They will get a kill onto the Spirit Breaker up top. As I was admiring Luna and her items, I did catch the tail end of it. But I think that evasion would really help them out right here. And OSG, they really need to make something happen here. They can try and wait for next Roche. If they can get the third Roche with the cheese, maybe that's will be enough for them to break the base, and then we'll still have a pretty even game on our hands. But
spawns in like now.
Yeah, with Roche coming up like that, there it is. Now indeed. And yeah, I think Roche would be better than trying to YOLO into the base here. But there is no glyph up for the Dire side. Actually, no glyph up for Dire side on that notion. Luna gonna burn the Eclipse. That'll finish off the Alchemist, but the rest of the team gonna back up quite a bit. Mirana gonna be able to leap backwards, and we'll see if they want to try and reinitiate here. Viper Illusions doing a fair bit of damage. A defensive hookshot back from the Clockwork. Big Num gonna take a Dragon Tail. We've got 2 fights starting to break out. That'll be the end of the Viper. Now Big Num standing his ground against Villic, and oh no, he's gonna fall. This is the bad news bears situation for OSG that you were talking about, where the carries from QPandas will really start to shine, and that was just such a convincing hold. A 4 for 1, I guess, if you count Spirit Breaker falling, but he died before that fight even started. So really, a 4v5, and the QPandas still hold and make it a 4-0 exchange. That's very telling of their power here, and that's a butterfly.
100 gold bounty went the way of that Dragon Knight from that Mirana. He instantly picked up a Chrysalis. We see the butterfly now on the Luna. They're gonna get this Roche.
Yeah.
This is the turnaround, man. I mean, this is just an absolutely huge sweep. They held on their high ground just enough, and I think it was really, really smart of them to push in and force the engage before the Raxes were actually under threat, because as you were mentioning, when that fight came up, they didn't have the fortification. I think that's what OSG were relying on, the idea that, oh, we can come in and just chip this Rax down before they're prepared, but QPad was ready, man, and they just went right in. They didn't even land a particularly good Earth Splitter. They just, you know, they picked off the, God, who was it was out in front? The Alchemist. Yeah. The Alchemist got completely wrecked by just one stun.
They burned the Eclipse on him, too, and I was thinking, I don't know about that Eclipse. I mean, yeah, Alchemist is a good kill,
that's
but...
all their auras. That's their Vlads and their AC off the field,
exactly.
And that's massive when you have an Elder Titan out.
Yeah, and now, Wicked Sick. Again, same story, different chapter. Alchemist going to get dropped before the fight even starts. Big Num not going to cancel the port. Oh, he's going to get Nether Striked right away. That's a dead Mirana, and that was just a big misplay here. Buyback available for the Mirana, not available for the Alchemist, and that's it. Going to be burned straight away. But I think the QPad Red Pandas might be able to take this game. Look at that graph, the gold graph that is continuing to go in their favor. Experience graph has been and is also continuing to go in their favor here. I think they're in good shape, and now the Dragon Knight is really transitioning into that hard carry mode and starting to hit harder and harder. I think they're going to be in great shape here. Cheese is... Where is the Cheese? Did they... Wait, was that only the second Roche? That was third Roche, wasn't it?
No, that was second Roche.
That was second Roche? Oh, man.
That was second Roche.
Really all over the place. So no Cheese.
It's cool.
But they still have that Aegis in the inventory of the Luna. And also, press E for a second. Luna is level 24. That is insane as well.
Luna, man, she clears stacks so quickly, and she's now got port boots as well. That's absolutely huge. Anytime they win a team fight, Luna can basically immediately take a Rax if there's any sort of creeps pushed up. And I also want to point out the Heaven's Halberd on this Elder Titan that SLHZ has just picked up is gigantic. The only BKB on OSG is on the Alchemist. There's nothing on the Viper. I mean, he could get one in about... Oh, on the Clockwork? I'm sorry. All right. I wasn't looking at the Clockwork. But fair. But, I mean, your targets for that Heaven's Halberd... Gonna be the Mirana, gonna be the Viper, and most likely the Mirana. And so that's absolutely gigantic. 4.5 seconds of I can't hit anyone when all she's built for the entire game is auto attack damage.
Yep.
Gigantic.
It's gonna be scary. Kind of curious what Viper's gonna grab with his next item. He's got about 3k in the bank. I would
expect a BKB.
Yeah, I was gonna say I have to expect it to BKB, but we'll see. Chomi's still not quite on the mark as he's continuing to farm up that bottom lane. So the real question is, what can OSG here or what can OSG do here to try and get back into this game? They still have a small lead, but just look at that graph. It truly is a beyond the summit mountain. Gold just about zeroed out, and experience now about 13,000 in favor of QPad. I think OSG are just in big trouble. All they can hope for is a good engage, maybe with the Moonlight Shadow. They can do something crafty. They will burn the glyph to try and hold this tier 2, which could prove to be costly if the QPandas continue to press forward and try and break the base here. Without that glyph, it could be a bit rough. And now OSG not going to have the Moonlight Shadow either, as that was just burned. Going to be on cooldown for another 80 seconds. I'm not sure if QPad
saw as well, by the way. I didn't notice that, but that's 2 halberds.
Yep.
So that's 9 seconds if Mirana can't do anything.
Double halberd. And, Alchemist going to get caught out. He's going to get charged. He'll probably get nether struck, I guess that's the right word. BKB going to get popped, but still, I don't think he's going to be able to make the great escape. YOLO comes out once again. And again, bit of a misnomer in Dota, because he actually will come back.
The YOLOs and the counter YOLOs are flying, man, but this is... I mean, sure, they've popped off the Dragon Knight ultimate to finish that, but it's not like they used a lot of time off of it. So they still have, you know, about half of that to try and push with. Although, you see Crystal Maiden backing up. She's a little worried that this Mirana is pushing up this bottom lane. Oh, Durham, you might be in trouble, man. Where are you going?
Big Nom going to hop forward. He's going to start chipping away at this tower. Durham just going to get melted. That was an odd choice of pathing right there. Mirana is going to back up as some ports come. And meanwhile, the QPad Red Panda is chipping away at the tier 3 in the top. As we mentioned, no glyph available. And this tier 3 is destined to fall. Mirana will port back. Arrow going to come in. Will actually connect with the Elder Titan, despite illusions being around a plenty. Big Num hits hard, but does he have the survivability? Will be able to leap backwards. Compliments to that mech on Viper. And so far, a decent hold. Oh, there's the aggressive hook shot outwards. Cogs gonna push RMN, not gonna trap him in. Hard to say if that was intentional, but they will take him down. Echo Stomp stolen on the Rubik. So they do actually hold. Sort of a chaotic exchange, but still in it.
The fact they didn't manage to pick off the Mirana is probably what let them... I think as soon as the Mirana got away, they still tried to commit to a fight kind of deep in the base. They were kind of spread out. Didn't really have a lot of coordination going on. So I think as soon as she got that leap away, that should have been the signal to back off. But they just committed a little bit too hard. So, I mean, certainly, QPad could still lose this. There's so much damage coming out of OSG, mostly just from that Mirana. And now it's starting to come out from the Alchemist as well, just because of all the minus armor he puts on. That if QPad takes a bad fight, they can absolutely drop. So they do need to be a little bit more careful than that. But they can feel reasonably comfortable as long as the Luna is alive, that nothing really terrible is going to happen anytime soon.
Yeah, and we just saw Villa have to port out right there. Did burn another BKB charge. That does take Dragon Knight's BKB down to 4 seconds. Luna's has to be pretty low by now, also at 4 seconds. Are there any BKBs that aren't at 4 seconds? Might be a better question at this point. Alchemist actually is sitting on the 9 second, and yeah, Clockwork down to 5. So BKBs still useful, but not as powerful as they once were. That does tend to happen with BKBs. They have that planned obsolescence, so to speak. Viper looks like he might be the one to move into an MKB here. Not going to go that BKB that we were talking about. Does have a Demon Edge, and I'd be surprised if that wasn't an MKB. Looks like Mirana going to be the one to go for the BKB, as he does have an Ogre Club now sitting in the inventory. Really would have thought those would be reversed, but not what OSG's interested in.
I think that Mirana does so much damage. Sure, you're going to have to worry about that evasion, but the bigger deal is if Mirana can just be double halberded throughout the course of a fight, OSG is just done. As long as it's a decent fight in all other aspects, if the Mirana damage isn't coming out, there's nothing they can do.
Yeah.
So, because it's not like they have like huge team fight ultimates or anything like that. They don't have stuff like Black Hole. They don't have stuff like Earth Splitter. They don't have stuff like Eclipse. They're relying on those right clicks.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we'll see what Rubik can steal. Maybe he can grab the Earth Splitter again right now, just to breathe fire, though. Nothing too crazy in the inventory, or in the skill set of Rubik, I guess is the right word. Not really his inventory, per se. But yeah, at this point here, at the 49-minute mark, this is really going to come down to who can take the next team fight. I mean, items are very important here, but in terms of pushing, it's all about this next team fight. And both sides have the pushing power to basically break the base. It's interesting how the structure set up right now is exactly the same. Top lane tier 3s are down. All of the other outer towers have been taken out. So the Map control is dead even on that front. Lane control is kind of even as well. But look at this warding from the Dire side right here. They've got one in front of the Ancients, then they've got one here in the entryway to the Ancients. Top lane ward going to be down, and then they've actually got one in the base as well. So they have this whole upper quadrant of the map here on the Radiant side just on complete lockdown. And Radiant actually still being pretty aggressive with their wards. We see one up here, but that's about it. Very interesting warding positions from QPad. Obviously, they do want to continue to put the pressure on. They're feeling their lead, and they want to capitalize. I have fun with that Twitch chat. And there's a fresh BKB on Luna, I think. Is that coming on the courier? Yep. So Luna just going to go ahead and grab another one.
Yeah, I can't fault her for that decision. She's pretty much capped out on anything else. You'd expect maybe if she gets enough money, she'll drop the other BKB for a Daedalus or an MKB if anyone ever picks up a Butterfly, which I don't think will be happening. I don't think Butterfly's in the cards. So maybe a Daedalus if she can fill that last slot without having to waste her buyback money. But she is terrifying, and a fresh 10-second BKB, so she can't be locked down by the clockwork, is pretty significant. But that you still have to remember, though, the Viper Strike is still present. So it's not like they have nothing to deal with that BKB. It's not like, you know, the end-all, be-all, well, she's got a fresh BKB, game over.
Rubik gonna be able to blink. He will
He
reveal
might
the
still
smoke.
go down.
But yeah, Ink Visitor's still in big trouble here. There's the charge. He does have a Ghost Scepter, but only gonna buy him a little bit of time. He's still gonna get frostbitten and gonna basically negate the efforts of that Ghost Scepter. That's a dead Rubik, and now a 5v4 on the field. Rubik does not have a buyback. And Roshan in 30 seconds. Oh, what a well-timed gank right there. Couldn't have been better, really. Now it's a 5v4, no buyback on the Rubik. I mean, they could still contest this Roche, perhaps, but going to be difficult for OSG. I think QPandas may have secured themselves a Roche kill. And he should be popping up here. Just about 10 seconds. There we go. So we'll see. They did scout it out. Of course, they don't know the exact timing. Uh-oh, they are going to charge down bottom. Wicked Sick going to be in some trouble here. Vision-wise, he's got absolutely no clue. He's just farming away like he's chopping that wood, Alchemist. Uh-oh! Oh, Jesus, there he is. He's going to charge up the concoction, but RMN going to be able to keep laying into him. There's the Lucent Beam to interrupt the port. He does have Chemical Rage on, though it's expiring in another second. Nether Strike going to be used, and now Alchemist destined to fall. Down he goes. 2 free kills for the QPad Red Pandas. And now, I think they may want to rotate into Roche, but they could also just try and break the base.
They haven't scattered it yet. They have no idea who's up.
And Alchemist does have a buyback here, so yeah.
Daedalus and 5k on that Dragon Knight, by the way. He's finished. He's really recovered from what was kind of an iffy mid-game, where he was getting picked off a lot, wasn't getting a lot of damage done, but that 1400 bounty on Mirana from a while ago really helped kickstart him into high gear.
Yeah.
And now sitting here with a whole ton of gold. I'm curious what he might want to get. I mean, obviously he's going to save a portion of it for buyback, but he's reasonably tweaked out. He could probably get an MKB just because it's pretty good damage for him. He could get a Satanic if he just wanted to be impossible to kill, which certainly wouldn't be a bad idea with how fast Mirana can bring any of these heroes down. Assuming she can get some focus fire done, I think a Satanic might be a really good choice for him.
I would agree with that for sure. Now, OSG will burn the buyback onto
RMN going in.
Oh, he's actually going to charge an illusion. RMN in big trouble here. He is going to get stunned as that arrow flew by, and RMN is definitely going to fall, though the rest of the initiation underway. Villic as well as Blue Banana on that Luna really overcommitting here. They didn't need to dive into the tier 3s. That's going to be a dead Dragonite. Luna going to be able to stand her ground with that 10-second BKB for now, but we'll see if she's going to be able to make it out. Wicked Sick is outside. He's going to be able to finish off Durham. There's the telekinesis onto Luna, and Echo Stomp going to buy her some time. She's going to try and port out. Unstable Concoction still on cooldown, and Luna will survive to tell the tale, but no one else from her team. What an overcommit from QPad. They had it. All they had to do was chip away at this tower. They burned the glyph, they forced the buyback, and they dove just straight into the base. Really didn't need to be that aggressive. And now OSG, they're gonna have a sign of life here. They're still trailing by a deficit, but a sign of hope.
Absolutely, and I mean, you're completely right that they were overextended, and the capitalization on that from OSG, from that clockwork, a set of cogs that caught both the Luna and the Dragon Knight while their BKBs were running, that was insanely huge. They couldn't actually get anywhere else to do anything. So, you know, they're sitting there, they're trying to hit the Mirana. The Luna can't hit anyone except the clockwork because she's too far away from the Mirana. There was really good positioning coming out from Big Num. Now OSG going to get this Roshan, and that's pretty gigantic. But, you know, the Dragon Knight himself isn't enough to outdamage the Mirana. So it just came down to the fact that everyone got torn apart before proper carry damage could actually be applied. And just, oh, I love cogs like that. They were beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous.
And of course, that failed team fight from the QPandas will cost them third Roshan. So now Chi's going to go out and will end up in the inventory of the Viper. And the Aegis going to go the way of Mirana now to join her BKB, Desolator, Manta Style, and Daedalus. She's got another 3,000 in the bank. Viper looking fairly rich himself. He does also have that MKB now sitting in his inventory. Looking at the net worth chart, Luna's still with a huge lead, but we're kind of at that point where Luna's almost capped out. I mean, she's got 4.3k in the bank, a Chrysalis that can be upgraded into a Daedalus, but after that, really not much more Luna can do. There's that Daedalus recipe. Already has the BOTs, has just bought a fresh BKB, so I guess could buy another one if time allows. But it's that point where there's a lot on the back of the Luna right now, and if they can isolate her and catch her up, they didn't even kill her last time, but they were able to kill all of her teammates before she did too much damage, and she was forced to run away.
One of the big things to look at here is we were talking about Luna and Dragonite versus Mirana and Viper, and I still agree that QPad wins that, but the Alchemist is really starting to come into his own. He already had, of course, some reasonably good damage, the good minus armor, to just go with his pretty decent base damage in the BKB, but he's now got a Demon Edge, which I assume is going into an MKB, so he can put out a ton of damage, you know, just on his own. He'll be able to rip through supports, no problem, and he'll be able to focus down that Luna very, very well if he can get up next to her, if she can get crowd controlled. There is the Daedalus on Luna, so she is in fact capped out. So as long as she just saves buyback gold from now on, there's nothing else she needs to buy, period.
Yeah, and all of her items are pretty solid. I don't know what you would replace at this point. I mean, Butterfly, Satanic Daedalus.
I wouldn't touch anything.
I mean, maybe the Manta, if there was some other really important item, like exchange the Manta for an MKB, maybe, if you just need that extra damage, but she's in pretty good shape, a very well-rounded build. Now, yeah, we didn't really talk about the Alchemist too much in terms of transitioning into that hard carry from the position 4, but he certainly can, and at this point, he basically has. I mean, he hits hard, he hits fast, now at level 23, of course, level 3 Chemical Rage, but yeah, that's throws sort of a wrench in the equation of who truly has that late game carry advantage, and it's almost a wash now that Alchemist is starting to get even more farmed, especially following that last team fight and QPad throwing away some of their momentum. We see the gold graph actually just about zeroed out here after 57 minutes of gameplay, and the experience graph, that thing's all over the place, but actually back in favor of OSG.
Yeah, I mean, it is back and forth. It is a little bit of a game of throws. Both teams overextended a tiny bit.
Almost 600 CS. Insane.
It's Luna, man. She farms faster than almost any hero in the game.
But still, that's a big number.
It is pretty insane. I mean, you know, that's she's getting about 10 CS a minute, which honestly for a Luna, I like to say is about average for a real like late game Luna who's been farming all game. Obviously, she's not going to be at 10 CS per minute in the early game, but once she starts getting the glaives and clearing the jungle, basically every time it's up, while also farming lanes and clearing stacks, and I wouldn't say she's like way ahead of an average amount of Luna CS for 58 minutes.
Yeah, that's nothing crazy, but it's crazy.
Strong.
Not
it's
crazy
strong.
for
I'm
Luna,
not trying to downplay that. It's just not like absurd.
Yeah. Oh, an arrow. Oh, just scouting it out. Maybe gonna connect. So both sides just going back to passivity, looking for an opening. You're at that point now. Certainly, I said it 20 minutes ago, and at this point, one failed team fight can really cost you here. So both sides are being a lot more cautious not to throw this away. Now that OSG are starting to get a little bit capped out as well, it's pretty even, and both teams just going to be more passive and wait for that other side to make that one last final push. And it's so much easier to have that defender's advantage. And with one side that doesn't have a super clear hard carry advantage, both sides are sort of thinking right now, it'd be really ideal if they would just push into our base and we could take that high ground advantage and take a good team fight. And when both teams think that, you have exactly what we see right here, where all 5 of each side on their respective sides of the map and just farming away. That's about it. No big surprise. The question is, what will be the outlier? What will cause that initiation to happen? Who will step too far forward? I don't know. That's what we're going to have to wait and find out. This could be a long one. Now, of course, we are behind schedule, guys, moving into this pause. We're about 10 minutes behind. The next lobby is up. I'm going to see. I don't know if it's started already. But Virtus Pro versus rox.kis is the next match on the docket, and I wouldn't be surprised if Starladder got it underway. I know the lobby's hosted, and I would imagine they're kind of eager to get that started. With 7 games, we're only hearing Game 2 getting delayed already. Could be a dangerous precedent. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, if you with this many games to play, and with the fact that they're running on Central European time, It is very, very dangerous to try and push this too much later. Then again, there are no matches tomorrow, but I think people probably, and even around the world, people are going to want to be traveling to see their families. They're going to want to get home for Christmas, and especially these players who spend every single day, every minute of every day playing Dota. They need a break, man. They need their holiday.
Unless you're hardcore like LD, that man takes no breaks. Last year he casted on
Dude,
Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. That is the definition of dedication right there. I'm not that bold. I don't know. I like Christmas and New Year's, man. I'm trying to do it hippie style. Live with the family, get the beers flowing, have a little relaxation, a little R&R. Hey, I know you're not trying to cast on Christmas Day. Don't lie.
Somebody asked me to cast a big tournament on Christmas Day. I'd be hard pressed to say no.
All right, well, I'll forward your phone number to LD and just say this guy's ready and eager to work.
Yeah, I'm not as fancy as you. What can I say? I don't have the luxury of being able to turn down casting positions.
I don't really either. But I guess if they really asked me, I would probably consider it. Though I don't know. Yeah, I don't know.
My problem is that my streaming machine just isn't as strong as yours.
Yeah,
that's why I try to avoid being a lead caster a lot of the time.
Yep. So, waiting on this pause to resume and checking the Skype chat. I got no confirmation either way if the lobby is starting, and that's not a very good sign. Usually you get confirmation, so perhaps...
Vilat is unhappy.
Yeah. Vilat, uh-oh. Do not anger Vilat. You will not be satisfied.
Vilat, the god of Starladder. More like Vilat, the absolute casting monster. It still just blows my mind that he casted the entirety of MLG Columbus solo. Like, oh my god.
Dude,
the dude is an animal.
He is. Yeah, and he really is. I don't know how he did it and still had a voice. I mean, he looked pretty tired, don't get me wrong, but...
Dude, I casted a day and a half and my voice was exhausted. I was just like, oh my god, this is awful. And I had a co-caster. I had Clairvoyance with me. I was just like, wow, this is intense. I mean, could I have done the whole thing if I'd forced myself to? Yeah. Would it have been pleasant on my throat? Absolutely not.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
I got lucky. My stream was shorter than most people's,
that's
so
true.
I didn't get as tired.
The tertiary stream, they run out of matches pretty quick.
Yeah.
But it's also rough with the scheduling for the CIS folks because Vlad, as well as the other Russians, they're even further past CET. So we have these 7-day stretches. It's 10 or 11 CET when we end. It's midnight there, and even later if we get delayed. So I think, what is it, that first Russian time zone, like where Moscow is +2 from CET? I think that sounds right. I'm not positive.
I don't know. I don't know Russian.
I don't know my Russian time zones that well. Not as well as I should. That's on me, guys. But yeah, obviously Vlad very eager to stay on schedule. I do like that Vlad is a stickler about teams using their proper tags and proper names, though. I tweeted about that, and he retweeted me, and that made me... Anytime Vlad retweets me, it's happened 2 or 3 times, I feel like I'm doing well with myself to have the praise of the Russian god Vlad. But I like that, though, because it really bothers me when people use stupid tags. It makes it so much harder to cast, and I like that he has no fear of saying, hey, Bulldog. Tag up.
In general, I think Starladder has a very reasonable set of rules that they actually stick to. But between schedules and tags and everything, it's a professionally run tournament, and that's my favorite thing about it. When I cast a Starladder match, I know there's not going to be anything stupid unless we have server problems. Yeah. Which, of course, is the poster child of Starladder. Volvo, please give server.
Yeah, seriously. They've been better, but there was a good week stretch where it was just every day. It's like, oh, cheese and crackers.
It is going to be satanic for that Dragon Knight, by the way. He's built into his Dom helm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you're right. That is going to be the satanic. So both sides just farming away here. We talked about it before the pause, and at this juncture, I'm really not surprised to see both teams being so passive. And this will benefit the QPad side a little bit more just because of that third Roche advantage. Did go the way of OSG, and that Aegis is just about to expire on Mirana. So that is one thing that delaying fighting here for that 5-6 minute window is really going to help out the QPandas. But other than that, it's still relatively even. And it's going to be more about who can find the engage, who can avoid getting picked off more so than anything else at this point. I mean, sure, items are going to help, but basically at this juncture, it's more of initiation than anything else because the damage is just so explosive.
Yeah, and of course, with the Aegis expiring, the cheese, of course, is still present in the inventory of Viper.
Yes.
Which is a significant swing factor. But at the same time, Viper... As nice as it is to have him very, very tanky, it's not quite as big as if someone like the Mirana had it, Maybe I wonder if they pass it to the Mirana before the fight starts. Quite frankly,
They might.
I would probably be thinking about doing that if I was OSG. And again, I mean, you do want the Viper around to keep that Viper strike running on Luna and Dragon Knight because it's very, very significant if you can keep them from being able to chase people, as I mentioned before, especially the Luna. But oh, big smoke. This could be kind of all in from QPad if this goes badly.
Yep, they're going to go forward. Uh-oh, they're going to see Big Numb. Elder Dragon form going to get popped straight away. But Mirana will be able to leap and will survive for now. QPad. Uh-oh, uh-oh.
Dota crushed.
Okay, I don't know what Dota crushed. I saw a DC and I thought it was one of the players.
It was
but,
that was the Frog TV. Yeah, the French guys.
Oh, the French guys, good. So yeah, it looks like they'll talk about here some more YOLO action. So yeah, a noble effort from QPad. I like the idea to smoke up and try and catch somebody off guard, but Mirana definitely not the best target. Basically, if they had caught anyone else, that would have been a little more successful, I think. But at this point, the leap enough for Mirana to be able to survive. And 7.4k gold on the Mirana right now. That is quite the bankroll. He has now picked up a BKB, sitting at 10 seconds. And whatever else he desires here at this point. An MKB wouldn't be too bad. He could just right-click it.
I'm kind of surprised that he hasn't gone for port boots.
Yeah.
At this point. Like, he doesn't have port boots. Like, if he picked up port boots and then an MKB, he would be so dangerous to that Luna as compared to what he is now.
I'm not sure what he's waiting for. More than enough to invest in something.
If he got both of those things, he has to keep his TP. Because if he gets caught out of position with no TP, the game is over. Or if there's a push coming in, he can't get back to base to defend. And so the port boots won't really actually help him too much right now until he's ready to buy that 6th slot. And if he bought both of them, he wouldn't have buyback gold.
Yes, well that is true. So I guess I can understand.
That's the combination of perfect storm factors that's preventing him from committing any of that gold to anything.
Yeah. Looked like these two teams were ready to commit to something. OSG were grouping up about the top lane. QPad grouping up about the bottom. But neither side going to commit too heavily here. And they're just going to go back to farming. Running out of things to theory craft here in this match.
I see a ward.
Uh-oh.
That could be a big pickoff.
Uh-oh. He's going to throw a ward down as well.
Okay, so he can see them coming in. He should be okay.
Pretty risky play from the Spirit Breaker on that solo mission, though.
I mean, they knew no one was. They knew that that OSG had just been hanging out top because I think they just had a ward by the Ancients, if I remember right, that had expired. So they knew that OSG had passed through that area pretty recently, and he had the ward down here as well, so that they could see basically if they're coming from either direction. So he knew he had a little bit of time. It was definitely dangerous. Like if they had rotated a little bit faster, if they had come at him, if they had maybe thrown a speculative arrow that had caught him, he could have been in trouble. But it wasn't like, oh god, I have no vision, I have no idea what's going on, I'm definitely going to die. It was more like, okay, I can take a calculated risk to get this ward down.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true. So, Roshan has respawned. This is 4th Roche here at the 64th minute of this match. And he very well could become the focal point of this match. The Aegis, pretty valuable here. Cheese valuable as well.
Ooh, Alchemist.
Uh-oh, Alchemist going to get caught. Moonlight Shadow comes. Sentry goes down. Alchemist going to stand his ground for now, but not going to be enough. Does pop that BKB, but Spirit Breaker comes in. And he's got that bash ready. And of course, BKB does not save you from that.
Here's
now, Alchemist does have a buyback, and I think he may want to burn it here. I think they do want to contest Roche. An arrow will connect with Luna as they move into the pit, but at this point, Roche falls very quickly, and if OSG want to contest this, they need to be very cautious about how they do so. They're not. They'll hand it over. Alchemist not going to buy back. And there you go. It's as easy as that. QPandas is going to grab themselves a little bit of an edge here. They will get a cheese of their own, going to be in the inventory of the Crystal Maiden, mostly because of slot issues. And the Aegis going to go the way of the Dragon Knight, not the Luna, of course, because she is 6-slotted. Dragon Knight still has a slot to spare, a square to spare. And
They've got to buy back this Alchemist. 60 seconds of him not being able to come up would just be, it would be too much. There we go.
And they're going to start chipping away at this tower. Glyph not going to be burned yet, but the tier 3 already down below a pretty low hit point pool here. Elder Dragon form will expire. And it was stolen by the Rubik, if I'm not mistaken. Nope, that's going to be a Breathe Fire. Never mind. We will see this initiation start, though. There's the BKB Eclipse from Luna. Going to do a good bit of damage to Big Numb. The Earth Splitter as well. No one going to go down quite yet. It will be the Spirit Breaker to fall first. But Alchemist going to fall shortly after. Mirana, as well as the Viper, in a great position, though. They're just behind, just chipping away at these heroes. Mirana does get taken out Chomi going to try and stand his ground against the Luna. Will be able to finish off the Luna, but now Dragonite going to pop back up. He'll get telekinesed. He's going to fall as well. Luna has bought back. Who else has bought back in this fight now? The Alchemist has, Mirana has, basically
entire
everyone.
OSG team, yeah.
Basically everyone. Still a few available. Viper as well as Dragonite still has his, but may need to burn it here. Still, CM going to be able to buy... Actually, everyone has buyback that's dead, except the Alchemist. He was the only one to do a dieback here. So I think OSG will counter push, and they will start chipping away at the base, but buybacks will come. Purple all alone in the bottom. Needs to be a little bit careful here. Will burn the mech. RMN going to come in. Luna going to be here as well. Plenty of crowd controls, and Shomi just going to get bashed all over the place. Luna going to right-click him down. I saw a 900 crit coming in there. Whoa, man, they're all over the place. Elder Titan now going to buy back as Mirana's up top. The Glyph going to be burned. Will it be enough to keep the ranged Rax alive? Big Num trying to finish him off. Oh, the Echo Stomp. The Illusions will finish it off. Now the question is, will Mirana survive? She does have the Moonlight Shadow. It comes out, and she'll be able to make it back. So this is still a surprisingly even game. Like, the first Rax to fall going to be this ranged Rax only in the top here at 67 minutes. This is basically going to be a reset now, except buybacks will be on cooldown.
Yeah, well, also the Aegis being gone on the Dragonite is pretty big. The Crystal Maiden burned off the cheese, so that's been reset. The cheese is still in the inventory of Viper, yeah. Oh, there's the rapier!
Oh, wow. Here we go. Now we've got a game, ladies and gentlemen. I need that soundboard. You know, I need a cool sound to be like, Divine Rapier has come onto the field. Because that's epic.
The fact that she has no port boots might be a big deal. But, you know, it's dangerous. I mean, it's all in. They're just going to go mid with this rapier and see if they can just end it. Yeah. 1650 on those crits now.
Yeah.
But if she gets kited around, she could still be in so much trouble with that Viper Strike. Although, with no boots, she's running at 438. Oh my god. What is that? Empowering Haste, plus the Manta, plus Luna's moves. Oh my god. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
So, here we go. No Glyph available. Rax taking heavy damage. Of course, that Rapier doing a lot as well. OSG do have all 5 alive. Viper did use that buyback. Bye-bye mid lane of Rax. They're going to rotate up top. OSG have to do something soon here. Concoction going to charge up. BKB is going to get popped. There's the Eclipse. Tron going to be in the front lines. Luna going to take a lot of damage. Earth Splitter comes out. Still no one going to fall. It will be an Alchemist and Spirit Breaker. First to go down. Down goes the DK, but the Luna's the one they have to kill. They might bring her down. This Rapier going to drop. Who's going to grab it? It's going to go the way of Viper. Oh no! QPandas! It's going to cost them everything! Oh, sacre bleu! They're going to get wiped up here. This might be GG. Triple kill for Chomi. That is a Viper with a Rapier.
That disarm was so huge just as Luna went in. Okay, you saw the Luna committing with the Rapiers. I mean, you know she can't get away. There's too much slow coming out. Her BKB's on cooldown, so she says, okay, I'm going to pop my Satanic. I'm going to wreck these guys. There's going to be nothing they can do about it. And then Clockwork with the Hero Halberd disarmed her, so there was no way for her to get any of her life back. She got absolutely melted, and that is the tale of how QPad threw away their Rapier.
Yep. Well, 2 buybacks were available. The Dragonite as well as the Crystal Maiden. And the Alchemist, the only one in the grave for OSG right now. Look at that buyback. Everyone's buyback is on cooldown except Rubik right now. Absolutely ridiculous. They are just going to press forward. They want to end this game. Dragonite going to get crowd controlled. He will pop the BKB, but Viper just going to lay into him. No way Vilix surviving this one. Down he goes. And now OSG looking like they're in a good position to take this game. Durham, the lone defender. Tron, going to let him survive. Going to throw him a bone here, but not going to let the throne survive. And OSG will be able to do it. Cheese and crackers here, Hippie. What a game.
Wow. That was a back and forth game all the way through. What an excellent game. I can't be happier about what we just got to watch.
Yeah. I have nothing to add. That was just a lot of theory crafting, a very long game, 69 minutes. Wow. We are going to move into the next match, though, guys. I know that lobby is ready and waiting to go, so we're not going to delay game 2. We got game 3 of 7 coming up next.